What is up, fantasy football fans? How we doing tonight? Uh, got a great show planned for you. Can't wait to get through all of this. Hopefully, if your playoffs started last week and you were in the playoffs, hopefully you advanced in the playoffs. If you were not in the playoffs, better luck next year. But I personally, I advanced in the one league where I made the playoffs, so looking forward to that. Anyway, so really looking forward to going through tonight's shows. Anybody that's tuning in, please make sure that you jump in the chat, throw out some any questions you might have. I was really happy that I got a lot of questions on Sunday morning. I don't know if you noticed that on X. Here, let me throw that end zone, the end zone Oracle Twitter account, because I posted on Sunday morning that Chris Rodriguez was inactive, and he was one of my starts of the week last week. So it's like Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt should have a step up in the game, and then people are saying, well, should I start Bill or somebody was like Omarion Hampton, or Bill or Kyron Williams was another one that came up, and so it was awesome to throw some answers back to people on Sunday morning. So anyway, I did for the most part say, yeah, Krosky-Merritt should do well against the Giants, and for the most part he did. He had about 80 or 90 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
So, but I was like, it kind of depends on the scoring format. So, so we did have to kind of take that into account. If it's a PPR league, then you may not want to go with him. But anyway, so again, I'm Glen Ritter, one of the hosts here on the End Zone Oracle. You can find me on X at Gritter13 or on TikTok at IESR Minnesota. I am the Minnesota insider for IE Sports Radio. Cover the Vikings, Twins, Timberwolves, Minnesota Wild, who had a huge weekend as well. I've posted a video about that on my TikTok account. You can check that out. A lot of fun there. So those are the teams I cover, in addition to co-hosting this End Zone Oracle show. And Josh, why don't you tell everybody out there how they can get in contact with you and see your videos and material?
Yeah, so you can find me on X at JoshRitter13, but most of my content is on TikTok, and it's at Josh.Ritter57. You can see an impassioned post Miami Dolphins Monday Night Football if you'd like to see that. If you'd like to see me as salty as I get, that's the place to find it. I've gotten lots of feedback about that one. Little frustration with the quarterback situation. I'm sure that you all know that it's in the news. But I also cover the Phoenix Suns, the Florida Panthers, the suddenly resurgent Florida Panthers, by the way, and the Toronto Blue Jays, the Oregon Ducks football team, which I will be at Autzen Stadium on Saturday night for that playoff game against James Madison. Cannot wait. My son and I are going to that game. So you can find me covering all sorts of teams. I do not do regional. I am all over the place.
Awesome. Yes. Yeah. So I know you touched on a bunch of your teams because you cover the Florida Panthers, Miami Dolphins, Phoenix Suns, Oregon Ducks, Toronto Blue Jays, and am I missing any teams?
The North Carolina Tar Heels basketball team. I don't pay much attention now, but once we get towards conference play in January, you'll start hearing some of that too.
Awesome. All right. Well, again, thanks for being here again. Really love doing the show with you. We got our first comment here. Hello, maybe Tristan?
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. Somebody new, not somebody from IESR. Awesome. If you've got any questions, throw them in the chat. We'll answer any fantasy football questions you've got throughout the show. We'll be on for about an hour, maybe a little bit more. But again, great to have you here. Thanks for tuning in. As I mentioned earlier, you can also follow us along on X at Endzone IESR, so you can check us out there. And again, IE Sports Radio is a station that's been around for 11 years now, covering sports from all across the country, different sports. We've got some sports shows. So we've got a baseball show, we've got a basketball show, we've got a hockey show, we've got a soccer show, we've got the fantasy football show. There's a football show called 3 and Out as well. That was the kind of show that got everything started here with IE Sports Radio. But you can find all of these shows on all of these different platforms. You can find us on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and just search for IE Sports Radio. You'll be able to see find all of those shows. You can find our previous episodes of the End Zone Oracle, because this is week 16. This is our 16th episode. Crazy. Remember how nervous I was when we did our first one. It's been awesome ever since. So again, check us out, like and subscribe. Really does wonders for the station. So again, thanks everybody for tuning in. But let's jump into our weekly Oracle report. Let's take a look at who were some of the top performers of the week. And then we'll talk a little bit about some of those that didn't perform quite so well here in a little bit. But for me, looking at some of these players, the big one, one of the big ones that jumped out this past week, Trevor Lawrence. Since he was been drafted first overall in 2021, we've been waiting for a performance like this. He threw for 330 yards, had 5 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. Crazy numbers. Not something that we ever expected to see this year, because we just kind of, at least for me, we've gotten to the point where it's like, he'll have a couple of good games here and there, but not anything spectacular. Couple of touchdown passes, but again, 250 yards, maybe 2 touchdowns was kind of his typical performance on any given week. But this week he went off, which was great to see. The other quarterback that I had on my list that really jumped out was Bo Nix. He is playing really well, threw for 302 yards, 4 touchdowns, just huge numbers for those of you that had them in your lineup. I'm venturing to guess that most of you, if you have them on your roster, they were probably on your bench. But that's the way fantasy football goes. So
you want to hear a story?
Yeah, go ahead.
So last week on our Oracle report, we talked about how I thought that Trevor Lawrence was going to have a really good week against the Jets, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I still, even with that, I started him, but I agonized over whether to start him or Bo Nix.
Oh, really?
It was in the semifinals of my fantasy football league, and it wouldn't have mattered, because either way, I would have totally won.
Yeah, you got the win either way.
Starting Trevor Lawrence, because I'm like, if I'm going to get on this show and I'm going to tell everybody he's my start, you got to start him, and I did, and it worked out really well. But I was one of those lucky people that had the 2 best quarterbacks in fantasy football this week, and I was agonizing over which one to pick. It wouldn't have mattered. I totally dominated either way. But that was kind of a fun thing to see, like, because Trevor Lawrence played first, right, and then Bo Nix played later, and I said, okay, well, I'm good to go. I picked the right guy, but then Bo Nix came in and behind him and played really well too. So now I've got a problem. Who do I play this week in the championship game?
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, how many times do we see that where players will go off one week, the next week they come back down to earth?
Yep.
And it would have been better if one went off and the other one had a bump downer week, because then you go, okay, then you go with that one this week. It's a tough one. I don't know that I would have a really great answer. I'd have to look at the schedules to see who each is playing. Trevor Lawrence is going to get the Broncos, so Bo Nix is going to be the way to go. Yeah,
so they're playing against each other, and that's the thing is, like, who do I pick to win that game? That's probably who I pick. So it's just right now
the Broncos have won 11 games in a row. Yeah. They have the longest winning streak in the NFL. And do you know who has the second longest winning streak
in the NFL right now?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. I don't.
Gosh, they were just talking about on the NFL Network.
It was the Jaguars, wasn't it? They had a really long winning streak.
Oh, it might be. Yeah, I think it is the Jaguars.
Yeah.
So they're facing each other this week. So.
Yeah.
And I think they've won 6 in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that'll be a fun game.
It will be. That is going to be a tough one to pick, though.
It really will. And I have to make a decision in the next few days, because I'm going to Oregon on Saturday morning. I got to have my roster set before then.
I hear you. So those are the two quarterbacks that jumped out at me as having huge weeks.
Yeah.
I know there were some other ones that had decent weeks here and there. JJ McCarthy, as a Vikings fan, had decent numbers. 250 yards. Again for him, 250 yards, a couple of touchdowns to Jalen Naylor. I think we threw one to T.J. Hawkinson as well too. So I think we got three touchdowns this week.
How about Kirk Cousins with 27 fantasy
points?
Oh,
yes, Kirk Cousins as well.
Yeah. So.
No, he McCarthy ran one in. That's what it was.
Oh,
he threw two to Naylor and then ran one in.
Yeah.
On that which was a beautiful play fake
for sure.
Anyway, so at running back, a couple of them that jumped out at me: Trevor Etienne, James Cook, and then Travion Henderson. Travion Henderson was one of my starts of the week last week, so I gotta pat myself on the back there because I got that one right. But each of them had well over 100 yards. Etienne and Cook each had 3 touchdowns, and Etienne actually all 3 were touchdown receptions. He had 3 catches, 73 yards for 3 touchdowns. Just crazy numbers there because his rushing stats weren't all that great. I think he only had about 48. I think it was under 50 yards rushing.
Yeah,
but he put up some good numbers.
That was another funny story for my team that was in the semifinals because I had Trevor Lawrence and the other person had
Etienne.
So every time the Etienne got these touchdown passes, it kind of balanced out, and I was already so far ahead. I just kept laughing because poor guy got 30 points off of Trevor Etienne, and they kept being negated by Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, it was that's awesome. It's fun when those things happen and they end up good in your favor because I've had some of those where I'm trying to catch up, and then whenever my player does well, they get points too, and
exactly
it doesn't help.
Yep.
A lot of times that's like quarterback throwing a touchdown pass to the guy that I'm playing, right? So
exactly. Yep.
Where I get like 3 points and he gets 6. Oh, great.
Yep.
So those are a couple of any other running backs that really jumped out at you? Is that
DeAndre Swift, the Chicago running backs are just such a conundrum every week because you just don't know who's going to get the stats. And I would have probably told you if you asked me, should I start Swift or Monunga, I would have probably gone with Monunga because you got the higher upside of the touchdowns, but Swift had a great game.
Yep.
And it's just week to week that's a difficult thing. And also Tyrone Tracy kind of had a renaissance over what he did in October and kind of came out of nowhere and had another good game. So a couple of these running backs that are kind of deeper in your league that maybe you have on your bench and you're not sure, do I start them or not? Just kind of flashed this week in playoff time, and good for them.
Yeah. And that bringing up Tyrone Tracy is great because I do have him on my bench in my family league, and he's like number 5 on my running backs list because the top 4 are Christian McCaffrey, Bucky Irving, Travion Henderson, and Omarion Hampton.
No wonder you're winning.
But you can only start 3 of them. You can have one in the flex.
You can't start Tyrone Tracy in that situation. I'm sorry.
Exactly. Yeah. But he put up some good numbers. Yeah. Let's switch to wide receivers. So the wide receivers, first of all, Amon-Ra St. Brown really came out this week. 13 catches, 164 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Absolutely dominated for the Lions. But, I think going into that game, we thought that the Lions-Rams game was going to be pretty high scoring. But that was some video game numbers going on in that game. Because Jameson Williams also had 7 catches, 134 yards, and a touchdown. So, who was one of our players to start for the week last week that we both talked about. And then Puka Nacua also had he didn't get in the end zone, but he had 9 catches, 181 yards. And that when it's a PPR league, which again we look at those numbers more than anything else rather than standard scoring. It was just huge numbers there, even without getting in the end zone. So tight ends. What the heck? We finally got Kyle Pitts to show up.
Yeah.
Again, a 2021 draft pick that We has been woefully inconsistent throughout much of his career. He had 1,000 yards receiving as a rookie, but didn't really get in the end zone. Has really done nothing consistently in the NFL since then. Now Drake London gets hurt, and Kirk Cousins takes over at quarterback, and he's all of a sudden, Tony Gonzalez or something. He's just putting up huge numbers because what was it? 11 catches, 166 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I don't know that he had those numbers in all of last year combined. So
it's this with him. It's a low floor and a high ceiling, right?
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that just as a tight end position, you have to have some facility to block to get consistent playing time. He has no facility in that whatsoever.
Yeah.
So you just get this mismatch of if the matchup's good and he's feeling it, he can have a big day, but sometimes just disappears in the offense.
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, I've seen him as I was watching the game. Him blocking was pretty atrocious.
It's awful. You can't play. It's the Mike Gesicki for the Dolphins a few years ago. He's with the Bengals now. It's the same thing. Like if you can't block at tight end, you're hard to play on anything but passing downs.
Right.
But you have to be careful because you can't tip to the defense that it's a passing down because you got him in the game. So it limits the amount of snaps the guy can have.
Right. Well, it's the same thing with running backs that can't pass protect.
Yep.
Jordan Mason is for the Vikings is one that really drives me nuts when he's in there and they call a pass play because he cannot handle a blitzing linebacker at all. Whereas Aaron Jones, he puts his head right in the guy's chest and stops him instantly.
And Jordan Mason, think about as fantasy owners, but they affect how you play call and the amount of snaps they get, and they matter. They really do.
Yep. Well, because then again, Jordan Mason's probably not going to be out there on passing downs, so he's not going to get those receptions, those points for receptions, because if he can't block, he can't really be out there to catch a pass if there's a pass play because he has to be able to pick up a blitz. Because that's the number one priority for a running back is blitzing linebacker or safety. I gotta stop them before I can release and go out for a route. And if you can't block, then you don't get those receptions.
And as a receiving running back, what are your most likely options to get a reception? It's not in third and short; it's in third and long, where they're more likely to blitz.
Right.
It all adds together, and this is where you can really differentiate yourself as a football fan that plays fantasy as opposed to someone who just plays fantasy.
Right.
Yep.
So other tight ends, Trey McBride, again, he's a every week we talk about him as being one of the top performers. He's leading the league in receptions with 105 this year. He had 12 catches, 134 yards, and 2 touchdowns against the Texans, which I didn't really talk about, but Jacoby Brissett last week, I was definitely afraid to start him, and I had him on my bench in one of my leagues. But he's proven to be a quarterback that is kind of matchup proof, which is crazy to think about in this day and age. Like Jacoby Brissett, really, as the quarterback that you can start in no matter how difficult the situation is, because the Texans' defense is damn good, and he did pretty well.
But they're so good that they get ahead. They got ahead so fast that passing the rest of the game. And you're going from a football perspective, as a Cardinals fan, I'm sure Alden, our Arizona affiliate, isn't happy about it. But from a fantasy perspective, you're throwing the ball in the second half, trying to catch up. You're going to get stats. It's just the way it works.
Yeah. So anyway. And then Darren Waller was the other one that I had to add to the list because he and we talked about him over the past couple of weeks too, is saying if you need a tight end, Darren Waller has a pretty good matchup. And this week I've got him as one of my starts because they're playing the Bengals. And even though Quinn Ewers is going to be in at quarterback, young quarterbacks need to find the tight end, and I anticipate Darren Waller having another big week.
All he does is catch touchdowns for the Dolphins. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, he had 6 catches, 66 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So
yeah,
and with Tua throwing him the ball, that says something, right?
yeah, and it can only go up with any other quarterback other than Tua Tagovailoa, but that's a separate conversation.
Yeah, and then when it comes to defenses, there were a couple that had shutouts this past week.
Yeah,
we had the Ravens getting a shutout over the Bengals. Bears only gave up 3 points to they played the Saints? No,
the Bears. I don't remember who the Bears played actually.
And then the Eagles shut out the Eagles, Raiders.
Oh man, the Eagles. They were in that league that I was in the semifinals. And if you play fantasy football, you watch those defenses because you start high and you kind of like slowly degrade down.
Yep.
That point total literally never went down.
Yeah.
The whole game. They shut him out, 75 total yards, so it never went over 100 yards. So that point total only grew as the game went on. It was crazy. I don't think I've ever seen that from a fantasy perspective where your defense score never decreases because of yards or points.
Yeah.
That 75 yards to an NFL team. I know, Larry, those are your boys. So I apologize, but 75 yards in an NFL game is insane.
Yeah, absolutely. So those were all of the top performances of the week. Are there any others that I missed that you wanted to talk about there, Josh?
The only one that I would highlight is Cortland Sutton for the Broncos. Had a good game, 24.3 points. You and I talked about him pregame. It was one of my kind of like should I or shouldn't I kind of deals. And that Denver wide receiver core is kind of a conundrum from a fantasy perspective when you're going into the playoffs and you're maybe a championship game. Because who's going to get the targets at this point? They seem to be spreading the ball around, and it's not the same guy every week. Cortland Sutton had a great week this week, but I'd be really careful with that when you're talking about the next week because it seems to fluctuate between Franklin and Sutton and the tight ends. Like Bo Nix seems to be just one of those guys that finds the open guy, doesn't care who it is.
Well, and we talked about this last week, saying Pat Bryant was taking over the role for Franklin, and then he was inactive for the game. And then Franklin went out. I mean, he had close to 100 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to players like Cortland Sutton, who are a prototypical number one wide receiver, big, strong, fast, you have to kind of think about it in matchups of like who's the corner that's going to be covering him from the other team because he's going to get some targets. They're going to throw the ball to him no matter what. He's not quite as talented, but just similar to Justin Jefferson. He's taller, he's bigger, but he's more like Drake London, I guess. But he's going to get those targets kind of no matter what. And you have to kind of think about, okay, who is going to be covering him? Is it obviously wouldn't be this because it's his teammate, but Patrick Surtain. So if Patrick Surtain is going to be shadowing a receiver, that's probably somebody that you wouldn't probably not want to start.
Right.
But again, depending on the matchup and who those corners are, especially if
playing Jacksonville, do they have a more cornerback that you can trust? Probably not. So maybe you do lean and say that last week's performance can be duplicated. Yeah.
That's exactly it. And sometimes you have to take into account, okay, what kind of defenses each team play. If one team typically plays a lot of man coverage, then corners are going to be more likely to cover or to rotate and go with the top receivers. But if they play more of a zone, then they wouldn't necessarily do that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to some of those clunker performances of the week. So first one I got to start with is the man who really had a huge week the previous week, and that's Joe Burrow. Against this past week, 225 yards, 2 interceptions, I think including a pick 6. Because it was against the Ravens. Yep. Yeah.
Who saw that coming? By the way? Shutout in Baltimore. Like I did not see that coming at all.
Right. I expected that one to be more of a shootout than a shutout.
Yeah. It was a strange game. So
that was the one quarterback that really stuck out to me, just because he's so dependent. If you have him on your roster and you made the playoffs because he was out for so long, you were relying on him to give you a good week if you
Right.
made the playoffs, and he just didn't.
Yep.
So Jahmyr Gibbs was another one that was huge the previous week, but then took a bit of a downturn this past week, only 58 total yards, but he did have 4 receptions. But, that's completely subpar from what he's done all season long. He's been so dominant all year, but he's had a couple of these games where it's just been a little bit less than average in his performances this year. Anything else about running backs or any other running backs?
Chuba Hubbard.
Chuba, yeah.
Yeah, so frustrating watching that running back core for the Panthers, not knowing what they're going to do week to week. And he had such a big week the week before, and then just 4.8 points this week, just not a lot.
Yep.
It doesn't seem like they have a flow to their running back room. It's just kind of they go with the hot hand, which I understand from a football perspective, but from a fantasy perspective, it can be very, very frustrating when you don't know week to week. Is it going to be Dowdle? Is it going to be Chuba? And sometimes they're not even getting those guys in the game. So it's just very frustrating.
Yeah, totally. That's a great point, because those are the things that again, as fantasy football owners, it drives you nuts, because you don't know how things are going to go. But if you turn the game on and you're watching the Panthers play, hey Joey, thanks for tuning in, buddy.
Joey, what's up? We share our pain in our sports.
Yeah. Oh, and I gotta say, I loved the video that you shared with or pointed out to Joey with the
newborn.
Dad,
yeah, that was great.
Going the Jets book to his toddler about that. Anyway, it was I got a good kick out of that too. Anyway,
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, Chuba Hubbard. So yeah, like if you're watching the game and you see on the first play that, okay, let's say Chuba Hubbard's in there and he breaks off a 10-yard run, you're like, oh, okay, it's going to be Chuba's game today, because he's there. It's clicking when he's in there. So unless, of course, then on the next drive, Rico Dowdle comes in and rips off a 10-yard gain on the first run. Well, then It could be more of a timeshare thing throughout the whole game. But
isn't it just the worst thing when you have a guy and you think, like, the Lions did this to me. Okay, so just sometimes the Lions will go an entire drive and never put Jahmyr Gibbs in the lineup, and you're just watching this team drag down the field, and they're getting close to the end zone, and your guy, who's supposed to be their guy,
Joey Jones,
not in the game, and you're just like this. Every fantasy owner gets so frustrated with this. I know I do. When you're just like, now you're rooting against the team to score just because your guy's not even in the game, and what are we doing here? Like, that Jahmyr Gibbs is the running back for the team, and it's first and goal from the 3, and they got David Montgomery running the football, and you're just like, why? And so if you have a moment like that, fans out there watching this, like, tell us about it, because I know I feel that pain when your guy's supposed to be their guy, and it's just not even a chance watching the ball.
Yes, that's a great point, because but although this year Detroit has kept Gibbs in the game more inside the 5-yard line than they have in the past.
They have, but they've also gone entire drives with David.
Yeah,
and that can be so frustrating when you're behind and you just need some points. You don't need a ton, but you just need a point or two here or there, and just like David Montgomery over and over again.
Right, but then you think about it from a football perspective too. Like, okay, you've got the superstar running back. You want to keep him fresh. You don't want to keep him
100%.
So you understand it from that perspective.
From their perspective, 100%. Like, it makes total sense from a football perspective, but from a fantasy, it's just so frustrating.
Yeah. So here's another comment from Joey. It's so frustrating. I have my semifinal matchup with both Hubbard and Dowdle on the roster.
It's the blessing and the curse of
that is a
of
tough
the
decision to go with right there.
The handcuff can also limit your roster sometimes.
Yep.
It really can, because now you're trying to decide, and it's a Sophie's choice. You feel like no matter which one you pick, it's going to be the wrong one.
That's exactly it. You like flip a coin? I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's go through some more of those tough performances of the week. Ladd McConkey, 2 catches, 20 yards, not very very good there. Tet McMillan, 2 catches, 25 yards, and then the guy who I listed as one of the starts of the week, Justin Jefferson, going against Dallas, 2 catches, 22 yards. He would have had a lot more if he didn't have the drops. He had a drop in the end zone, should have caught. And then there was another deeper pass that was thrown with had some heat on it, but he had both hands on it. Should have really caught that one as well, which would have given him probably another 40 to 45 yards and a touchdown. That would have made his performance much different there.
Yeah.
And then a tight end. Again, one that I said stay away from was Tyler Warren, who, again, as I mentioned earlier, or I mentioned last week anyway, I have on my the league where I'm in the playoffs with my family. He was my only tight end, and I picked up Darren Waller last week and started him, and really did well. But he only had 3 catches, 19 yards with Phillip Rivers in at quarterback, who surprisingly looked respectable, and they kept the Colts in that game against Seattle.
So I have a thing about this. So Tyler Warren didn't have a good game. Nobody really had a good game from a passing standpoint for the Colts, right? Because he didn't look all that horrible for a 44-year-old quarterback that hasn't played in 5 years. So we praise him.
Yeah.
But in any other measure of quarterback play, that was awful. That was on the same level as Tua was, from just he doesn't look like he belongs, and it's a cute story, and I loved the pictures of the kids from his high school team, that when he threw the touchdown pass, that was a total shot put, which I know that's how he throws, but whatever. He doesn't belong out there. He knows he doesn't belong out there. They're just trying to get through the season. I feel for Big Mike, but if you're a Tyler Warren owner and you felt like he's kind of carried you to the playoffs, you got to be so frustrated right now, because there's not it's not going to get better with Phillip Rivers as he gets more into the offense, and he gets dinged and hit, and now his 44-year-old body, because I'm 45, I know how I feel. As he starts getting hit, he's not going to recover as fast. This is not going to go well for the Colts. I'm sorry, Mike, it's not. So I just feel for fans of guys that are championship, fantasy football riding on weapons on the Colts, because it's not going to go well. And it's a good story, and we want to paint the best picture of it, but let's be honest, Phillip Rivers did not belong on the field there.
Right. Well, and like we talked about it last week, it does impact every single offensive weapon that you would start, including Jonathan Taylor, even though we know that they're going to be handing the ball off to him a lot. But if the threat to pass isn't there,
they're not going
to. They're going to be able to shut down the running game.
Yep.
No matter how well you block it, they're going to be able to shut them down.
If I'm a defensive coordinator, I say we put 8 in the box and we force Phillip Rivers to throw more than 10 yards downfield. He's not able to do it.
Yep. They just got to watch the tape, right?
Yeah.
Which they do. But it's do run blitzes every single time.
Yep. 100%. So it sucks if I don't have Warren in any of my leagues that matter, but for those of you that do, if you have a better viable option, or you can pick up a Darren Waller on the waiver wire or something like that. And trust me, he's still out there in some leagues, because I've seen him on waiver wires in leagues that I don't need him.
Right.
Go pick him up, because you can't trust that offense right now.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, and then Jake Ferguson was the only other person that I had for some of the worst performances. But let's talk about injuries, because there were a ton this weekend from Patrick Mahomes and Micah Parsons tearing their ACLs. In case nobody heard about that, because I know that ESPN and those kinds of places don't really report those kinds of things. So, like,
Not
they don't
really.
spend a ton of time
Patrick
and really
Mahomes
get
got hurt.
in depth and show the videos over and over and over again of, you can hear from us first then. Okay.
There you go.
They both tore their ACL over the weekend and will be out for 9 months. So it's going to impact their start of the season next year. So,
Yep.
But so if you got a offensive player going against Green Bay, a quarterback or a receiver, they might be able to put up a little bit better numbers with Micah Parsons being out, with Gardner Minshew coming in as the quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs. It means, guys like Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, you're probably going to be reduced a little bit in their numbers. Not sure how he's going to connect with Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce has been looking old this season.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure how much he has left. But I think the whole Kansas City offense, now that they're out of the playoffs, I just don't know how much you can trust any of those guys.
Well, and also, I'm just going to throw this out there. If you're in a keeper league and you have Patrick Mahomes, that's not the guy to keep.
Mm-hmm.
Because even if he does come back at the beginning of next season, he's not going to have the mobility that he's had in the past. And he's not like a Tom Brady who had an ACL in 2008 and then came back in 2009 and just played, because he's never been mobile. Like, Patrick Mahomes relies a lot on his ability to escape the pocket for a lot of his yards.
Yep.
And I would be very concerned that he's not going to end up being the same quarterback. And he's never been the best quarterback anyway, fantasy-wise. But, I would be very concerned about making him one of my keepers. So if you're in one of those keeper leagues, you probably shouldn't be keeping a quarterback anyway, unless maybe it's Josh Allen. But, that's probably not somebody that I'd be thinking about keeping next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point there. Let's see some other injuries. Christian Watson left the game for Green Bay early, and not sure if he's going to be playing. He's had a chest injury, and I know he went to the hospital. So
yeah,
I didn't see the play, but I know about that. Jonathan Grenard for the Vikings re-injured his shoulder and went on IR along with Josh Metellus. So they're going to be out of a couple of defensive players this week for the rest of the season for the last 3 games. So Josh Metellus has not had a great season from everything I've seen. Jonathan Grenard has been phenomenal. He's one of the best at putting pressure on quarterbacks. Dallas Turner is probably going to have to step up in the Vikings defense, but they might give up a few more plays the rest of this year because we're not sure, right? How everybody else is going to perform when lose a couple of those guys. Jane Daniels again went on the IR with his elbow injury. He's out for the rest of the year. Bam Knight, running back in Arizona, twisted his ankle, is going to be out 1 to 2 weeks. So Michael Carter's probably going to be the guy to pick up there, and we'll talk about some of those waiver wire pickups. And then I just had Tua listed as, not that he's injured, but he's just broken.
Nobody wants to zero.
Yeah.
But also, TJ Watt has a punctured lung from theoretically a mishap in the training room where they do the needling, and somehow the needle guy decided he was going to puncture his lung. So that don't take what the Dolphins did against them, because Tua was awful as gospel. Like, if you've got the Steelers as a defensive matchup for one of your players, that is a huge loss for the Steelers defense.
Oh, absolutely. And that's that happened a few years ago too, to another player where he was getting like a pain injection in his ribs with
Tyrod Taylor
or something. Tyrod Taylor, thank you. That's who it was.
That's how Justin Herbert got his first start.
Yeah, and they sued the trainer.
Yeah,
for like $5 million or something like that, because they went in too deep, punctured his lung, and was out. So yeah, that was crazy. So it sounds like it was a similar situation there. So.
Yep.
Anyway, let's go to waiver wire pickup. So if you're still in the playoffs, you have some tough matchups. Maybe you had Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback. or somebody like that, here's some guys that you can target. Again, Jacoby Brissett, if he's still available out there, definitely be worth picking up. You can pick him up and start him pretty much every week, just because their defense is so bad. They're going to be passing the ball a ton.
Yep.
JJ McCarthy, possibly somebody that you could pick up. He's starting to improve. He's starting to show that a little bit more consistency as to actually being a quarterback, as many Vikings fans are still going back and forth about whether he's going to be any good in the future or not. Some people are just adamant that no, he's going to suck because he sucked at the beginning of the year. And I think with a young quarterback, you got to take everything with a grain of salt. 2 good games does not equal a successful career, just like 3 or 4 bad games early on in the season did not describe it as a worthless career. It's not going to be a bust.
And
you can't label him like that. What's that?
Yeah. Not a bad matchup against the Giants either. So
no, well, that's exactly it. He does have, and he's had some good matchups the last 2 weeks, playing Washington and then Dallas. Those are not stellar defenses. So
no,
he did really well those weeks. Let's see. Looking at running backs, Bam Knight, Blake Corum, Tyrone Tracy. Could all potentially be on the waiver wire, would be guys that you could pick up and start. Jaden Reed and Troy Franklin. I think we talked about him last week as somebody, you could probably let him go because Pat Bryant is taking a spot. Pat Bryant was injured last week and unavailable, and Troy Franklin went out, really did well. Jaden Reed in Green Bay, that's always a little bit of a crapshoot with who's going to get the ball. You got Jaden Reed, you got Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson if he's healthy, and then Matthew Golden. So any of those guys could be the guy. You just don't know week to week. Jaden Reed is kind of that more gadget player, so I think a lot of times they run plays specifically for him, whether it's on end arounds and things like that. So maybe he'd be a little bit more reliable in the game plan from week to week for the Packers.
Right. I agree. Yeah, that's a tough team just to kind of project, but
yeah,
you're right. If Christian Watson's injured, that kind of pushes everyone up a little bit. So that might be the play, is to watch his status. And if he's out, then you can feel a little bit more confident about a Green Bay Packer. But if he's playing, try to stay away as much as you can.
Yeah. And then when it comes to tight ends, if you have Tyler Warren on your team, another guy in addition to Darren Waller that you can look at is Colby Parkinson for the Rams. More than likely is going to be available in most leagues.
I saw a fair amount of that game, and it seemed like every time that they threw the ball, he was catching it. So it seems like he's becoming a bigger part of that offense.
Absolutely. Well, and I think part of it too is Devontae Adams came up lame with his hamstring. So I didn't talk about that with the injuries, but he did on a deep route. His hamstring had been bothering him, and I would venture to guess he's probably not going to be playing this week, just because they're playing on Thursday night.
And Colby Parkinson had 3 catches this week. 2 of them were down at the 3-yard line, and 1 was down at the 1-foot line. Yeah. So he could have been the leading tight end of the
right.
He had just converted those into touchdowns, but it tells you in the red zone they're targeting him.
Yeah.
So definitely someone to look at.
Yeah. Any other waiver wire guys that?
No, I think you covered the big ones. I would definitely, like I said, a tight end. Parkinson's a good pickup. Waller's a good pickup. Those guys are available. Tight end's a hard one. So if you have a tight end issue, specifically if you've got Warren and you're just not comfortable with, those are the 2 that I'd be jumping with. So I'm going to reiterate those 2.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks. All right, well, let's take our first break. Boy, we are 45 minutes into the show already. This is just flying by.
It goes by fast.
Yeah. All right. So again, thanks for tuning in. You're watching the End Zone Oracle here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be back in about 2.5 minutes. Check out our sponsors here on IE Sports Radio. Again, it's the End Zone Oracle.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
All right. Welcome back to the End Zone Oracle. And again, please support our sponsors. Planet Jerky, first of all, absolutely fantastic product. Premium brisket beef jerky, absolutely fantastic. Great high protein snack. No fillers. It's just 100% goodness. And it gives you that little shot of protein, help get you through the afternoon or mid-morning whenever you've if you're sitting at your desk like I am at work, need a little bit, I always grab some jerky. I like it so much. I've even got the stickers here on my water mug here during the games, during the shows, just because it's such a great product. So definitely check it out. Check them out. PlanetJerky.net. We got some great flavors of jerky. If you like it really spicy, they got some stuff for you. If you like it a little more sweet, a little bit more mild, they've got some of those as well too. So check them out. And then again, Vital Apparel. If you're looking for some workout gear, or if you've got with Christmas right around the corner, next week is Christmas Eve. We'll talk about that later. But if you've got somebody in your life that wants to start working out in the new year and they need some workout gear, check out Vital Apparel. Got great comfortable workout gear. 15% of the proceeds goes towards if you use the code IESR, you get 15% off, and proceeds go to support mental health initiatives. Absolutely great cause. That check them out. They've got a lot of great things there. Shirts, shorts, anything that you could possibly imagine. Great stuff there. So again, please check out our sponsors. All right, let's get back into our next segment, the start, sit, quit. So for me this week, I didn't necessarily look at any of my teams per se, but I did look at just the running back position in general of who are some guys to make sure you get in your starting lineup this week, or that you should really lean on because they're doing really well. And then somebody that I would move to my bench, I wouldn't necessarily try to start, and then somebody to just let go. So for me, Bucky Irving is my the person to start. I think he's got a great matchup this week going against Carolina, and I think he's going to do pretty well in that spot. He's been good at Oh, he's once he's come back from injury, he's really kind of taken over. He's been losing some of the goal line carries to Sean Tucker, which is kind of a little concerning.
Yeah.
But otherwise, he's catching balls out of the backfield. And again, I think he's got a good matchup this week. So keeping Bucky Irving in your starting lineup, if at all possible, is the way to go. Somebody to send to the bench, Ashton Genty. Which is tough because even though he is as a rookie one of the most talented running backs that's come out in quite some time, but playing for the Raiders is awful. Even he's going to get a ton of usage. He gets a ton of carries. He gets a ton of targets out of the backfield. But when you've got
they can't block for him.
Well, they have no offensive line. Larry likes to talk about how awful their offensive line is. They can't block. But also they've got Kenny Pickett as their quarterback. There's a reason they got shut out last week, and it would not surprise me if they were shut out again before the season is over, just because their offense is pretty bad. And then the person that I think can be kicked to the curb is Kyle Monangai. The last couple of weeks, he hasn't cleared double digits in that crowded backfield with Chicago. And again, it's one of those things where you just can't, you don't know who's going to get those carries in the Chicago backfield. You don't know how well their offense is going to play. They've got, let's see, they're playing Green Bay this week, right? And then, and then I think
their matchups the rest of the season are just awful. I remember going over that a couple of weeks ago. They just have a gauntlet. So it's just worth.
Yeah. So anyway, he's the one that I think I did just release in one of my leagues where I did have him on my roster, just because I don't see him. I think it's actually the league where I've got Travion Henderson and Bucky Irving's Christian McCaffrey and
And if you're watching this show, you're watching it probably because you've got a team that is competing for a championship, right? At this point. And you can count on a Kyle Monangai or a Tyler Algier in week 5 when you've got a bye, and you just need a guy who might get a touchdown and get you enough points to get by. Yeah. But in a championship game, you need volume. There's no buys. So you should be able to find somebody that can get you more upside than Kyle Monangai. Doesn't mean that he can't have a great performance, but his floor is extremely low because he doesn't get 15, 20 touches a game.
Yep, absolutely. So how about for you, Josh? Do you have a start, sit, quit?
I do. So my start of the is going to be Joe Burrow going up against the Dolphins defense. Not that the Dolphins defense hasn't been playing well, but I just think that this whole Tua thing is going to wreak havoc on the Dolphins, and the fact they were eliminated last week from the playoffs. I think Joe Burrow's on a mission to prove that last week was a fluke, and that he's fighting through whatever he's going through because he's a competitor, and I think he's going to have a huge week this week. So I would just be if I had Joe Burrow on my bench, let's say, I wouldn't have a problem starting him this week. I think the Dolphins are going to give up a ton of points to him, and it's going to be ugly. So I would start Joe Burrow. My bench is this hurts my heart because I have him in a bunch of leagues, but Lamar Jackson it's not happening for him.
Yeah.
So if Joe Burrow is out there, if any of these other quarterbacks that maybe, have some upside are out there, you might consider starting them over Lamar Jackson against New England, who's coming off a tough divisional loss against Buffalo. They're right there to clinch the division. Ravens are going to have the Patriots are going to have a good bounce. Lamar just doesn't look like himself. He can't move around, and without that, I just don't think that he's worth starting at this point, honestly.
Yeah, that's a great point.
My give up is Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
Oh, good sorry. Point. I think I'm a little behind you. I see a little cycling. But
yeah, I think there was
Jalen
a.
Waddle is. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying. I think your network was glitching a little bit there. So, go ahead.
Yeah,
Jalen
it
Waddle.
happens over here, but yeah, my give up on is Jalen Waddle. I don't know what Quinn Ewers is going to be targeting, and Jalen Waddle relies a lot on timing, and I think teams are going to key on him as far as the only target that they really care about, and I just wouldn't trust him if I was you. I'd bench him.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, those are. I actually almost went with Lamar Jackson as one of my as a bench guy as well. But I was going to go Jacoby Brissett as a start over him, but then I changed my mind.
I would.
I
agree with that. I would absolutely start Jacoby Brissett over him.
Yep. Awesome. All right. I didn't really put together any panic or patience, guys. Did you have any players?
We're running up on time anyway, so let's just move on. Yeah.
Let's keep going. Let's go to matchups. Let's look at some of the matchups this week, and some of the teams that have some favorable matchups, which usually means, okay, who's playing the Bengals and who's playing the Cowboys. So this week we got the Chargers going against the Cowboys. And the Cowboys have shown that they can give up points to just about any offense, even the Minnesota Vikings struggling offense with J.J. McCarthy giving up 34 points to them. So I think Chargers, pretty much everybody should be on the board as a consideration. Omari and Hampton, Kamani Vidal, Lad McConkey, Quentin Johnson, everybody that you can think of. Amandre or Gadsden. Aronde. Thank you.
I should know that. His dad was a Dolphins legend.
I know. I was a fan of Aronde Gadsden too. So I'm like, oh, hey, it's the son. Cool.
The best one-handed catcher in the not OBJ. The best one-handed catcher in the history of the NFL was Aronde Gadsden in the 90s. Look up his highlights. I promise you will not be disappointed.
Yes, I do remember quite a few of those. Yes. So Aronde Gadsden Jr. again should be on potentially in your lineup. Going against the Cowboys, and then again Miami going against the Bengals, especially they have been. You don't think so?
Devon Achane. That's it. Don't trust anybody else because we don't know what Quinn Ewers is going to do. Do not go there.
I'm going to say go ahead with Darren Waller because the Cincinnati Bengals have given up the most points to tight ends this entire season. So. They did slow down the Ravens last week. We talked about Isaiah Likely being a great start and Mark Andrews as well. But I think that was more on Lamar Jackson just not being himself.
Yeah.
Than it was Cincinnati. So I think Darren Waller would be somebody, and then Devon Achane. I think those guys would have great matchups there. And then. For some of those least or sorry, I forgot to have this on for favorable matchups. But those are the two that really jump out to me as far as defenses to attack with your offensive players.
Right.
And then looking at some of the go ahead.
Kyle Pitts. Okay. He's playing against Arizona. He could get 20 fantasy points in the first half against that team. There is a consistent theme with the Arizona Cardinals of first half, just absolutely zero resistance whatsoever defensively. And Kyle Pitts kind of flashed last week along with Kirk Cousins. If I am the Atlanta Falcons coach, I'm saying let's leverage that and feed that guy. So I would say if you have Kyle Pitts in your lineup, definitely someone you want to have in there.
Okay. I would say proceed with caution because there's a song out on the radio. It's like, I've seen this film before, right? With Kyle Pitts. We've seen flashes in the past and then has not come to fruition. So
I know.
But so it's another one of those, could be a low floor or a super high ceiling, but
you're not wrong. That Arizona matchup is so bad, is so positive for the Falcons, especially in that first half. You could get 15 to 20 points out of Kyle Pitts in the first half, and then he could do nothing the rest of the game, and you don't care because you got what you needed.
You got your points. Well, the other piece of that though is Drake London going to be back? Because if Drake London's back, he's probably going to take some looks away from Kyle Pitts.
That's fair. That's fair.
And then who knows how much Bijan Robinson's going to get out of the backfield too. He can get a ton of carries because he didn't really put up a ton of points this past week either. So, okay, so those are the favorable matchups. Let's switch over to some of those defenses to try to make sure that you have either on your roster. Hopefully you've had them on your roster, especially the one with the best matchup of the week is the Houston Texans. So if you're going into your semifinal in your playoffs and you have the Houston Texans defense on your roster, you're going to be starting them because they are facing the ultimate slump buster for defenses, and that's the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
The Raiders are absolutely awful offensively. And with Kenny Pickett there, quarterback, you're going to be guaranteed, several sacks and probably a couple of interceptions.
There is a close second, though. Okay.
Yes.
I don't know if they're going to be available because they're a solid defense anyway. But I don't even want to know what the 49ers are going to do to Phillip Rivers. If you got the 49ers, you better start them. Unless you've got the 49ers and the Texans, and if you do, you way overemphasize defense, by the way. You better start.
Or you were looking ahead and you saw, okay, here's who some of these matchups are, and want to make sure you have yourself covered. And you don't want somebody else to have the 49ers defense going against you if you've got the Houston Texans defense. Because the Niners defense is a great matchup.
I'm not a betting guy. I don't do this, but if the over under for Phillip Rivers and passing yards is anywhere near 100, take the under because I don't see how he throws for 100 yards on that 49ers defense.
Yeah, that's a great point. Some of the other again offenses that we tend to start defenses against is the Bills going against the Browns. Browns playing better with Shedeur Sanders. The Bills defense has not been great, but could definitely get some turnovers and potentially a pick six. The Saints going against the Jets. Joey, he knows his Jets are not doing all that great. Chiefs going against the Titans. Now, Titans have looked a little bit better recently. And Tony Pollard has gotten some good amount of things going on the ground. But Cam Ward is still a rookie, and the Titans have really given up a good amount of points to opposing defenses. And then, and in this one, I just threw out there because, the Miami Dolphins are starting at Quinn Ewers at quarterback. Would you ever trust the Bengals as a starting defense? If you were ever to trust the Bengals as a starting defense, this would be the week. I'll just say that.
No, don't get me wrong. I'm hoping that Quinn Ewers flashes, but that offense is going to be going to be rough. The problem with, and I speak with some authority on this. The problem with Quinn Ewers is he's not a timing-based type of quarterback. It's not his strength, and this whole offense is built off of anticipation throws and timing, which was theoretically, now I say theoretically, to his strength. It's going to be. Now, can Devon Achane run for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Bengals? Yeah, he can.
Yeah.
So there's some limit there, but I wouldn't be worried that you're going to give up 500 yards. The Dolphins they're not going to pass for a lot of yards. So the yards will be limited, but if you're in a bind and you don't really have a better defense, the Bengals aren't a horrible option because the Dolphins just aren't going to have a lot of yards.
Yeah. Well, and it depends on the scoring too of your league. If you're the defenses in your league focus more on turnovers than yards and points allowed, well then, the Bengals might be a good option because they might get 2 or 3 turnovers just based on on pure volume. So that could be an option there.
Yep.
All right, let's jump to our kind of start and sit for each position. So I have a list of players that I would start at each position, and then somebody that I would sit. And so I'll kind of go through all of mine, and then Josh, if you've got any others, you can throw in there. But for me at quarterback, I talked about him earlier, Jacoby Brissett. If you've got him, put him in your lineup. He's playing Atlanta, who has been pretty had a pretty porous defense a lot of the year. So I think that would be the player to start there. As far as the sit, I'm actually going to go with Trevor Lawrence. So he is the one going against Denver. I think their pass defense is just so good. And that's the reason they're winning so many games. So I would caution against starting Trevor Lawrence there. At running back, Devon Achane. He's got to be my start of the week at the running back position. Even though my sister has him in our league, and I'm definitely she has him and Jahmyr Gibbs. So I know it's she was able to get both of them. So I am a little bit nervous going into this next round of the playoffs, but we'll see how things go there. And then as far as a running back to sit, RJ Harvey, going against Jacksonville. I just don't think they're going to be able to run the ball. Jacksonville's run defense has been pretty good this year. Wide receivers, again, to start, Michael Wilson, especially if Marvin Harrison Jr. is not healthy, if he's still battling that heel injury. Michael Wilson has been on fire the last month or so, and even the amount of points that he put up last week against the Texans was huge. So I would keep him in my lineup, and I would sit Deebo Samuel because I think if Washington's going to be doing anything, it's going to be with Terry McLaurin through the air going against Philly. So that's a tough matchup for him. As far as tight end to start, again, I'm going with your Miami Dolphin, Darren Waller, especially considering how awful the Bengals are against tight ends. And then the tight end that I would sit is Tyler Warren again, just because we've talked about the Colts. Just with Phillip Rivers, you could probably go with a Colts player at every one of these positions to keep on your bench. But how about for you there, Josh? You got any?
Well, what I'll say is that you kind of answered my question, which I was going to pose to you, which I agree with, which is I'm in a championship game and my two quarterbacks are Trevor Lawrence and Bo Nix, and which one should I start? And I actually agree with you that Bo Nix is my start of the week. I think that he's going to solidify them as the number one seed in the playoffs and beat the Jaguars this week. And Trevor Lawrence, how many times has that guy had back-to-back really, really solid weeks? It just doesn't happen for him. So he's someone that I'm comfortable saying you probably should sit. So, you kind of answered that little conundrum for me. And my start is I love Troy Franklin this week.
Yep.
As well, with that kind of that duel.
Yep.
I think that he kind of reestablished himself as part of that lineup, and you're going to see him have a really, really big week against the Jaguars this week. And I said Joe Burrow earlier this week. My start of the week is Jamar Chase. I know that you're probably not going to I wouldn't have not started him. But I think he's going to be the number one receiver this week. I think the Dolphins are going to get broken this week, and Jamar Chase could get 200 yards and 2 touchdowns this week.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, for me, again, my start of the week is Jacoby Brissett. I just feel like he's going to have a huge week. So.
Oh, and on that line, I would say at this point, Marvin Harrison, I wouldn't have him in my lineup. I don't trust him. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
That Jacoby Brissett just doesn't have any chemistry with him. So I wouldn't touch him.
Yeah, that's a good point too. In addition to the heel injury, actually another player I would stay away from is Rome Odunze as well. Who, if you weren't paying attention this past weekend, he was not among the list of inactives for the Bears going into their game against Green Bay, but then he re-injured his foot, or his foot just became uncomfortable or whatever. And so right before kickoff, the announcement was made that he was not going to be playing in that game against the Packers. So it sounded like it was kind of a stress fracture, stress reaction, or something along those lines in his foot. And as a receiver, that's not somebody you can have on the field and trust.
No.
So, which explains why he hasn't done much, if it's been bothering him since after week 4 or 5, when he came out of the gates.
You can't do anything. It hurts to move, much less run or cut.
Right.
And it takes forever to heal. I'm a distance runner, so like just from that perspective, I've just now started running after like 6 weeks of just sitting around waiting for this thing to get better. The foot injuries don't get better until you just sit around and do nothing. And I'm talking like I wouldn't even walk with my wife and my dog because I was worried I was going to re-aggravate this thing. So when you hear foot injuries with receivers or running backs or cornerbacks, and you think it's just a foot, why is it that big of a? No, it's a big deal. It affects everything they do.
Yep.
So yeah, from a fantasy perspective, Roma Dunze, that I didn't hear that. So yeah, he's on a no-go list for me now, because the problem is he could take one step and it's over for the rest of the day. You can't count on him in the playoffs.
Which is, I think, what happened before the game. Because when they made the announcement of inactives an hour and a half before the game, he wasn't on the list of inactives. But after they got back on the field and started doing some more warm-ups, he tweaked something in his foot, and they're like, nope, he's done for the game.
You can't.
Like I said, they announced it minutes before kickoff. So I did post it on Twitter just to throw that out there for everybody to.
That's a great call. Like I have extensor tendonitis, and I thought my foot was broke. It hurts so bad.
Well, you bring up a great point though about injuries, because the most one of the common ones that you hear for receivers or running backs is turf toe. Oh, just a toe. Have you ever had turf toe? It hurts like a bitch. Okay.
Yes, it does.
Sorry. Yeah.
Which is literally what extensor tendonitis is. It's the same thing. And it's just awful. And you can't move.
Yeah. Well, see, at least what you're saying though sounds a little bit more tough and painful than turf toe.
They make it sound so benign, but it's
like turf toe. Oh. It's just it is extremely painful. So all right. Yep. The only other thing I was going to get to really is looking at the last week. We talked a lot about the weather, chances of snow, super cold temperatures going through the upper Midwest last week. This week, nothing like that. So temperatures are going to be for outdoor games are going to be fairly pleasant, easy for people to play in. The only real precipitation challenges would be the Rams in Seattle. It's supposed to be it's likely going to be raining in about 10 to 12 mile an hour winds. So wet, little windy, could impact the throwing, could be some more turnovers and things like that. So we're going to be kind of looking at that. And on Sunday night, Patriots at the Ravens. There's a little bit of chance of snow there too, as well, according to the extended forecast. So, but just remember, check out the weather in those areas for those outdoor games. And as our closing and shout outs, first of all, again, my teams this past week, I'm in 3 leagues. Went 1-2. Lost by about 3 points to Dan in the IESR league that allowed him to get into the playoffs because Joey Jets lost and he slid into the 4th spot. So he's going to be in the playoffs now. So I did not appreciate that. Did not like that. Having a Green Bay Packer fan get into the playoffs on my watch. And I was hoping that I could keep him out, but the cards did not go that way. The one league where I'm in that it's mostly just points for touchdowns, very few yardage points. Lost, but The cool thing about that league is there's no playoffs. We just play 18 weeks. You play every other team 9 times, and it's just strictly regular season record. Just standings at the end. Yep. That's how cool. The money is divvied up. So I'm good with that. So I'm in 5th place at 7-1. So I've got a few weeks left. Hopefully I can climb a spot or two. And then in my family league, as I mentioned earlier, I am going to be in the semifinals. So it's really funny because so there's 4 people left in the league out of are still alive in the playoffs. We had 6 teams to make the playoffs. The top 2 seeds get a first round bye. 3 play 6 and 4 played 5. I was the number 4 seed, played my playoff nemesis. He's knocked me out of the playoffs a couple of years in a row, even though I've had a higher seed and had a better regular season team. And so, excuse me. So when I was playing against him, I was afraid that it was going to be another one of those weeks where I'd get bounced in my first playoff game in the first round. Thankfully, that did not happen. I had, like I said, picked up Darren Waller, ended up beating him by 41 points. So that was good. Kicked him to the curb so he could sit down and watch. The 3 versus 6 matchup was my older brother, Paul, who doesn't really pay attention to his team. He auto drafts, and he ended up finishing in 3rd place, 10-4, because his players stayed healthy until he got to the playoffs, and he had Jaden Daniels in it as his quarterback, and because he works on the weekends and just doesn't really pay attention unless somebody reminds him, hey, you got to change your lineup.
Right.
So again, just annoying. But so he lost to my niece, who is the daughter to my younger sister, who I'm facing off with in the next round of the playoffs. So she was the number 2 seed. So I'm facing my sister, and her daughter was the number 6 seed and is facing the number 1 seed, who's my son. So,
there you go.
So me
and the older folk and the younger folk, who's going to be
who's going to take home the championship, right? Because it's either way. So it's like me and my offspring, and her offspring are in the final 4. So it's a lot of fun. And but like I said, she's got Devon Achan, Jameer Gibbs, and I think she has Kenneth Walker Jr. as her 3rd and stuff. But she picked up Brock Purdy to replace Patrick Mahomes as her quarterback. So I think projections are going to be pretty similar. Again, I just have to figure out the running backs to start, but I think I know who I'm going to go with, just because Omarion Hampton's playing Dallas, and I think he's going to be the better flex option over Travion Henderson.
Ooh,
so it is a tough one, but I can't bench. To me, I can't bench Bucky Irving or Christian McCaffrey. So no. Right. So I got to have those 2, and then it comes to the flex spot of either Travion Henderson or Omarion Hampton. Both guys split carries. Henderson's more explosive. Hampton is playing Dallas. So it's like
that's tough, man. That is a head scratcher. I don't even have a good lean on that. Like it's a tough one.
Yeah. So if you think of anything, if you think of any reason why I should go with one over the other, I would welcome that.
If you forced me to pick one, it'd probably be Henderson, but that's only because I think he gets a bigger share of the things, and he's got just as much upside as Omarion, but he's got a little bit higher floor. But I wouldn't put my reputation on it for sure. That was a tough one.
Well, I'll keep going back and forth, and
I'm sure
and things so.
Whatever you pick a half hour before game time is probably whatever you're going to go with, right?
Yeah. Well, no. What's going to end up happening is I'll change it a half hour before game time, and then regret it 30 minutes after the game starts.
For sure, that's how it goes. And in true fantasy football form, my teams relied 2 weeks ago on me winning in like 3 leagues to get in the playoffs, and every single one of them lost. And then all of those teams turned right around and won in the consolation brackets of their playoffs the next week. So this is just how life goes. I had a really good week, fantasy week, and that worked for my team that was in the semifinals, my one of 8 teams that actually made the playoffs. But it's very frustrating to watch teams that didn't make the playoffs do really well once they get into the playoffs, but they're in the consolation side. So that's just how fantasy football goes. But yeah, I'm in the championship game this week for my wife's league, and we are favored to win this week. Fingers crossed. So I can at least get one championship out of this week. But that's literally the only league that I've made the playoffs in out of 8. So I don't know. Maybe you all shouldn't be listening to me, but you got our ups and downs, and you learn as you go, and that's how fantasy football is.
That's the thing. Is like the more that we talk about these things on the show, the more that I learn and think about different scenarios as the games pop up. So
exactly.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Josh. Oh, everybody, before we leave, we're going to be changing nights next week. Next 2 weeks, we're going to be on Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, just because we're not going to be on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. So we're going to be spending some time with our families. But Tuesday night, December 23rd and December 30th, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Western, Pacific time.
And also for any of you that might have last minute questions, just know you need to go to Glen, not Josh. I will be driving in the mountains home from Eugene, Oregon after the Ducks game on Sunday morning. I have to set my roster like Friday night to get ready for this weekend. I'm going to be going to the Ducks game. It's about a 5-hour drive north. And then tomorrow, that Sunday morning, we're going to be driving home. I'm going to be watching the Dolphins game on my phone while my son drives, because I'm not going to get home until about noon. So if you have fantasy football questions, that's the guy to be asking.
Yep. And go to Endzone IESR on X and post questions there. Okay. I will answer those. I get the notifications on my phone. So please check those out. So again, thanks for tuning in, everybody, for watching the Endzone Oracle and Glen Ritter, Josh Ritter. We'll see you guys next week. Have happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah to anybody that celebrates. We'll see you in see you next week. 6 days.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.